So I'd like to introduce my other co-chair, Mrunal, for his presentations for today. Thank you.
So I'm Mrunal. I'm one of the co-chairs of the NNPCF. I've been with the organisation far too long, and my term of office is coming up. So that gives me license to be a little bit direct and a little bit naughty now. So I know that we're all friends in the room. Please don't judge me, but I won't pull any punches. I'll try and tell it how I see it and how the steering group sees it. So. What next for SEND? Shaping a strategy during a crisis. So the big elephant in the room is that we are still waiting for the SEND AP improvement plan. We've been waiting a long time. Now, let me just share with you what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the SEND AP improvement plan, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's not published yet. So I'm going to take that very carefully. I'm then going to take a little bit of time and update you on the NNPCF priorities for the coming year. So at our AGM a month ago, which was a virtual event, we asked you, our membership, what our priorities should be. So we've taken that feedback and I'm going to play that back to you as to what you think we should be doing and what we will be doing as a result of that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the wider environment. What's going on in the wider world that might impact us in the world of SEND, and I'll leave you on that. So the SEND AP improvement plan has been a long time in the making. Tina and I had a meeting in July 2019 with the then Children and Families Minister Nadhim Zahawi. Remember him? We said to him, we didn't talk about a SEND review, we didn't talk about a green paper or anything. We talked about the need for a joined up strategy for SEND that identified the issues, the disconnects, the gaps, the overlaps, and why the system wasn't working. And they launched a SEND review in September of 2019. We've had several governments, we've had a pandemic, we've had a couple of parliamentary rebellions around some key pieces of legislation that have meant things like the schools bill haven't reached fruition as we had intended. But we are, I'm told, almost there. We were hoping that the DFE would be able to launch the improvement plan today at this conference. The stars haven't quite aligned, and I'm told it's going to be later this week, but again, watch this space. Okay, so we're nearly there. So I'm going to try and walk a tightrope today. So I'm going to try and talk about what we would like to see in the plan and what we are worried about being in the plan and what we think might need more clarity in the plan without talking about the plan itself. Okay? So I think we're all trusted people in the room, and I'm not going to say anything that is not already in the public domain. Okay, to be really clear about that. Everything I say has either been published by the DFE already or has been published by the NNPCF already. I will leave you, ladies and gentlemen, to join the dots. Right, so what are we looking for? What are we looking for? National standards, okay? We are looking for national standards. So we got really clear messages. So the text that you see up here is actually from the green paper. Okay, so it's in the public domain. We are looking for national standards. When we did our survey, we got such a strong response. You can see that there. Over 90% of people who responded to our survey said they wanted national standards. Now, bear with me. I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk to you about national standards because they are so important in our mind. And there's been a lot of conjecture about what they might or might not be. And let me tell you what we think national standards should be and what they should not be. So myth busting, let me start with that. National standards should not be a taxonomy of needs. It should not be a dictionary that says these are all the conditions that a young person might have. And next to that, there's a list of the services that that person is entitled to. That is not what we think national standards are. They are also not, very clearly not, a cap on services. They should not be saying, okay, if you have these needs, this is what you can get as a maximum. The principle of meeting individual needs must be retained, and that's something that we're strongly looking for. Now, that is going to be one of the questions that Tina, when she talks to the minister later, hopefully, is actually going to put to the minister directly, so we can hopefully hear that directly from the minister. Right. Why do we think national standards are key? It's because if you get the national standards right, they will drive early intervention, because everybody will know what they should be doing. They'll have clarity around who's responsible. Once you've got a list of what should be being ordinarily available, provided, you can tag who's responsible for providing it. Once you've got who's responsible, you can get clarity on who pays for it. So we stop all that haggling. Once you get clarity around who's responsible and who pays for it, it makes your accountability a lot easier. So if people aren't doing it, it's much simpler, it's much more transparent. It also should lead to fewer disputes because there is more clarity. So when we did our work, when we did our thinking about what we want to see in the SEND Green Paper and the reforms, we put national standards at the heart of it, and I think that this is something we'll be looking for. So, why do we need national standards? You're all familiar with this model of universal services, targeted services, and specialist services. That's the picture we all know. Now, I'm not making a political point here, but the fact of the matter is that what we have seen and what the experience that you, as parent care reforms, tell us is that what is in the universal space and the targeted space for our kids has diminished over the last 10 years. I'm just looking around the room and I'm seeing lots of nodding at that statement. So I'm not going out on a limb there. That's what people are experiencing, okay? Which means that because needs don't change, specialist services have had to do that, which means that more and more people need an EHCP, need access to specialist services, and to fill that gap, people are reaching up into specialist services where previously they did not need to. Right, so I'm going to borrow some slides now from the Council for Disabled Children. The wonderful Philippa Stobbs, who retired this year, who did a real shift. I've done 7 years at the NNPCF. Philippa did 35 years in the world of SEND. So these slides are Philippa's slides, and I think she makes the point really, really articulately, really clearly. So this is the definition of special needs. So a child, a young person, has special education needs if he or she has a learning difficulty or disability which calls for special educational provision. So a learning difficulty is a significantly greater difficulty in learning than the majority of other children the same age. A special educational provision means educational training that is additional to or different from what is that is generally made for others of the same age. So, in Philippa's language, this is a twice relative definition. We compare one child to its peers, and we also can compare special educational needs as being over and above what is ordinarily available. So, Philippa's analogy is of the tides. These are needs, groins in the sea. If you set your ordinarily available there, everybody has special needs. If your ordinarily available is set there, then actually you're covering many people. If it's set there, then the majority of people's needs are met by what's ordinarily available. But what we have seen and what we have experienced is this over the last few years. And so more and more people are needing special educational needs provision, and that's why we keep coming back to national standards. Okay, Philippa put a few seagulls in for us as well. All right, so moving on. I laboured the point around national standards because we think it's so important. So what are we looking for? What else are we looking for? We're looking for partnership, greater emphasis on partnership working. We all know that the 2014 reforms were one of the fundamental planks was partnership working. We know that it has not worked as effectively as it should have been. So again, our surveys talked a lot about educational settings, local authorities, health providers, social care providers, all working together. We also called for more guidance around who pays for what and clarity based upon the national standards. We want to see more joint working baked in to the improvement plan. Moving on. We also wanted to learn some of the lessons from 2014, because 2014, you go to the principles of the 2014 reforms, there's not a lot wrong with them. You go to the principles of them. But there was a lot of unintended consequences from some of the provisions that were made, some of the ways in which we implemented that. And so I think it's really important we learn the lessons from 2014 and we don't rush headlong into complex implementation. And I'll touch on this complexity point again later. We've got to make sure we get it right, take a little bit of time to make sure we do not make the same mistakes. We learn from what we got wrong previously, because there wasn't really a proper rollout implementation plan. We were really clear in our survey, the survey that you completed for us, we wanted more support and more training for staff across the board. So this is just the result of our question around school staff. You can see that 97% of you said that we needed more support, more training for school staff when it comes to SEND. We also looked at more data to incentivise people to behave in the right way. We know that the data, particularly the Department for Education gathers, drives behaviour. That's what local authorities look to, that's what schools look to. So if we can get the right data being gathered, if we can get the right questions being asked, then we know that will motivate providers on the ground to do the right things for the right reasons. So again, we wanted much more focus on, much more intelligence around the data that's being gathered. So, moving on. That's some of the things that we'll be looking for in the improvement plan. What are the things that we were worried about in the green paper? 3 things I want to talk about. Firstly, the tailored list of settings. The famous, Tina calls it her magic list. We were very concerned about that. And you can see that in our survey, 72% of respondents, as you said, they just didn't like the idea. They feel that it's going to be a way to constrain choice. So we were very, very concerned about that. There was some feedback that actually, particularly for parents and families who are new to the system, that an intelligently tailored list of settings that was co-produced would be helpful, because it would help them navigate the system. But there's a couple of really big caveats there. It's intelligently and properly co-produced with the individual family. Let's see where we land on that, on the tailored list. We're also worried about the role of mediation, and this is really surprising for us, because when we looked at the NNPCF looked at this, we thought, yikes, this is going to be really contentious. Our survey gave us mixed results, in the sense that there's actually quite a lot of support in the survey for mediation. So 72% of respondents actually said that they were supportive of the idea of mediation before going to tribunal, and that could it help prevent tribunals. We remain concerned, though, that mediation shouldn't be put in place as 2 things around mediation. It shouldn't be put in place as a barrier to reaching tribunal and the legal redress that provides for many families. We're also concerned that to be meaningful, mediation not only needs to be mandatory, but it also needs to be binding in some way, because that's the feedback we get from many families who go through mediation, is that actually too often what they when they get a tribunal judgment, what's in the tribunal judgment isn't properly followed through and delivered, so they're really worried that what's agreed in mediation won't be delivered either. We're also very worried about bandings and tariffs. We got really mixed messages from our survey around this. They were in the green paper around fixed bandings and tariffs. It'll be really interesting to see how this is implemented and where it lands in the improvement plan. If national standards aren't a cap on services, the fear that we have is that banding the tariffs will be a cap on services through a back door. So that's one to look out for, and that's something we are worried about. So, what needs more clarity? Accountability accountability, and accountability. Right? We were very hopeful of some of the provisions that were in the schools bill. That, bluntly, the conversation we have quite a lot of the time is there's a lot of talk from the Department for Education about what happens to badly behaved kids. What about badly behaved schools? Okay. And we hear that from local authorities as well. That we've got children that we believe should be in mainstream schools in particular. If they were willing to make the right reasonable adjustments, school refuses, local authority cannot reach in and make the school do what they need to do. And the regions group at the DFE, previously the Regional Schools Commissioners, if I put it politely, have lost a lot of credibility with people in this room, with inaction. Again, I just wanted to put those two slides up around the survey results that we had around that really strong feedback around accountability. So, where else do we want more clarity? The legislative programme. Okay, we were going to have a strong legislative programme. That was the intention when the Green Paper was launched, along with the school's white paper about this time last year. We were anticipating a legislative programme. That has effectively been shelved because of the political turmoil over the summer. I'm sure there are other reasons as well, but we've got colleagues from the DFE in the room, and you can collar them over lunch, and I'm sure they'll give you some more of that colour as well. But we are very worried about, where will the reforms we want sit in a context where there isn't legislation to support them. So again, one thing that we'll be looking for. And where do we need more clarity? Pace of change. I'm going to take a moment and just share with you a little personal journey. This is my young man. This is Aaron. This is Aaron in 2014 when the SEND reforms were introduced. He likes an ice cream, as you can see. He was get my timing. He was 6 at that point. Okay, this was Aaron a few days ago, and he's 50, turned 15 over the weekend. And you see the point I'm making, yeah? Pace of change. Now, 2014. It's likely that we are going to see a rollout period for any implementation plan, and if that rollout period extends to 2030, which, let's be clear, probably does do if by the time we're waiting for legislation and parliament schedule, 2014 to 2030 is literally a childhood. Okay? So, whilst we're very supportive of moving cautiously, getting it right, learning from 2014, not making the same mistakes we made before, we also know that we need some urgency and some pace in what we're doing, because we cannot wait. Our children are growing up. My child is growing up. All right. So, that's a segue for me into NNPCF priorities. One of the big debates we've been having is about the long term versus the here and now. How do we balance our work, our priorities at the NNPCF? What do we focus on? And the long-term stuff, such as the Ascend AP Improvement Plan, the NHS long-term plan, versus the stuff that's happening now. So some of the stuff for the NHS long-term plan that's happening now is great. There's programs like the Delivering Better Value in Send and Safety Valve that are happening here and now. Well-being of parent carers, the cost of living crisis, all these things are happening now and they're impacting our families. How do we balance that between the strategic work and the helping people now? So we asked you. Thanks. Yeah, you basically said, stop your yakking, guys, and just do everything. All right, so we will try, okay? We will try. You couldn't script this, all right? we thought our membership, they're wise, they'll give us their wisdom and they'll give us the right way to go. No. Okay, you basically want us to do everything. We'll try, okay? And we will be quite honest about, a large part of a very wise man said to me, an old boss of mine said to me, management, the really good stuff, difficult stuff about management, it's not about what you do, it's about what you choose not to do. So we'll have to make some of those decisions, okay? And we'll try to make them with you and take you on that journey. But we also asked you about some of the big themes we're hearing from the regions. What are the big themes? And we asked you to prioritise those. And there you did give us some really helpful feedback. And really interestingly, number one was the well-being of parent carers. We're all feeling it at the minute, yeah, including things like the cost of living, our own health. So that's an area that we haven't done a lot of work in over the last few years, and that's something that we're going to have to learn to do, and we'll hopefully learn to do it with you. Okay, so that's new territory for us. You told us the second priority was the SEND AP Green Paper development and the improvement plan. Third priority was the ongoing work to improve the system here and now. You told us you wanted to do a little bit of focus on the partnership working with the integrated care systems. So we'll continue to do that, partnering with NHS England. Improving the health services following the pandemic, that's receded. That was top last year. Okay, so it's interesting how things change year on year. That was our top priority that you told us last year. And then the new Ofsted CQC inspection framework, which Tina spoke about this morning, Tina Paget spoke about this morning, is on the list as well. So those are going to be our priorities. What are we doing with them? Oh, we also asked you what else we should be worried about. What else should we be doing? And this is the word cloud. And actually, it looks befuddling, but you actually go through it in detail. And the big one that we're missing is preparing for adulthood. Okay? And that came through really strongly. So this is kind of what we're going to be doing over the next year. These are our priorities over the next year for the NNPCF. And thank you, everybody, for co-producing those and telling us what they should be, because we don't do it without you. So we're going to do on education, we're going to be working on the current programs. The stuff in black at the top is the current stuff that we're going to work on. The stuff in red at the bottom is the more strategic long-term stuff. So I won't go through that list. You can see it there. The slides will be distributed. Have a look. But you can see that it's very much, hopefully that's reflective of what you think we should be doing. You'll see there's question marks around well-being, and we're quite transparent around that, as that's something we're going to have to work up. It's not something that we've got existing irons in the fire on particularly strongly, but that's something we will co-produce with you around what we can and should be doing to support you in that. Cool. So, the wider environment. Going to have a little bit of fun. All right? Well, I am. I don't know if you are. So, some musical messages. So, some people who know me will know that actually music's very important to me, and actually to my kids as well. And we spend a lot of time at festivals, and if I'm not here today, and when I retire from this role, maybe in a couple of years' time, you'll see me, supporting Dave Grohl somewhere on stage. But that, some musical messages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up some musical lyrics. Okay, I want you to tell me the band and the song, and through a very, very, very tenuous link, I'm going to relate that back to the world of SEND. Okay. All right, and if you get them all right, what I'm going to do is the steering group will sing the songs for you tonight. And the reason I say that with real confidence and passion is that I've actually got to get the 7 o'clock train. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you throw your colleagues under the bus. Okay, so Mrunal's musical messages. Right, so start you off with an easy one. Lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Don't miss your chance to blow. Eminem. Very good. Okay. Right. M&M, lose yourself. So the message here is, we've been waiting a long time for this improvement plan. A long time. It could be the only chance we get to make an improvement, significant progress over the next 5 years. Think about what's going to be happening politically over the next 5 years. We've got an election next year. If we don't make progress now, it's very likely that a new government, of whatever colour it is, may well reset, and we may end up having to go through another round of reviews. If there are things in the improvement plan that we can agree on, I think we've got to grasp them now, because otherwise another 5 years could slip by. Okay? So the improvement plan will not be perfect, but let's go with what we like and what we can do now. Let's be realistic. Right, next one. Again, another easy one for you, hopefully. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be this hard. Shout out. Coldplay. Anybody for the song? Coldplay the Scientist. Okay, great. So, what's the tenuous message here? The risk is the improvement plan involved input from a very large group of people. Yeah, I think I'm looking for the DFE. 6,000 responses to the consultation. Yeah, I've sort of seen some nods. So 6,000 responses to the consultation. Schools, inspectors, regulators, parent carers, local authorities, health providers. Somewhere within that, there's a landing strip that we all kind of agreed on, and I think that that's kind of what we tried to pull out, what the DFE have done a good job in pulling out in the improvement plan, okay? That common ground landing strip. And again, politically, there's a danger that SEND is really hot at the minute. It is really, really hot. You talk to MPs, you talk to local councillors, their surgeries are full of very angry parents, and many very angry parents who are angry for really good reasons. And there's a danger that I really fear that unless we can make some progress, unless we can get some points on the board, that politically SEND will become the next adult social care, becomes so difficult that nobody will touch it, and we can't allow that to happen. So I know everybody in this room is solution focused. That's why we're here. We're parent carer forums, but let's be solution focused and let's try and make some progress to show that it can be done and must be done. Right. Okay, this one is a bit harder. Be suspicious of simple answers. That is for fascists and maybe teenagers. Come on, you've got to get it, otherwise they won't sing it. Is that, did I hear somebody say Frank Turner? Yes, it's Frank Turner. Song called 1933. Yes, well done. Okay, so you're still on course for singing tonight. Right, okay. So the SEND system is complicated. Let's not kid ourselves that it's not complicated, all right? And it sits in an even more complicated education, health, and social care system, yeah? And there are lots of different interests, and there are no simple solutions, okay? Anybody who tells you there are simple solutions to these problems is leading you down a path, right? Because there are some people that will tell you that the simple solution is that we need to quadruple the funding for SEND and lock up all the DCSs in the country, put them behind bars because they're not following the law. There are some people that will tell you that the solution is, it's just stop these parents badgering me and having unrealistic expectations, yeah? There aren't simple solutions, and don't let anybody tell you that there are, but do the hard graft and do the hard work to make the difficult solutions work, because that's the territory we're in. Okay, this is an easy one. Yeah. Taylor Swift, yeah. I actually have a Taylor Swift T-shirt, and my daughter hates it when I wear my Swiftie T-shirt. But yeah, Swiftie, Taylor Swift, shake it off. Okay, so The temperature is going to go up over the next few weeks and months, okay? Once the Ascend AP improvement plan is launched, we know that the temperature is going to go up. And sadly, many people in this room will be on the end of some of that anger, yeah? Some of that frustration. Please hold your nerve. You do the right things for the right reasons. Keep doing the right things for the right reasons, and we'll see it through. So my apologies in advance that you are gonna, there's gonna be a Twitter storm, there's gonna be anger. Some of it may be directed at you. My apologies in advance that you're gonna get that, and I feel for all of you. But please hold your nerve, be brave, have the courage, and do the things that you think are right, okay? If you think that parts of that plan are right, push them and go with them. If you think some of it is wrong, say so, okay? Be honest and true to yourselves. And I watch you suffer a dull aching pain, and now you decide to show me the same. Nothing could make me feel bitter or treat you unkind. It's a hard one, this, but it's a very famous song. I'll give you another clue. Because wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Rolling Stones, thank you. Thank you, Andre. Andre will be joining the chorus this evening. Rolling Stones, Wild Horses. Excellent, okay. And this is the thing I find most difficult, okay? Don't let anybody tell you that parent care reforms aren't doing best for the children with SEND. Don't let anybody tell you that, okay? Because I want a little show of hands. How many people in this room would sell their child or another child like them down the river for £17,500? Come on, be honest. Any of you? That's what, when everybody puts after, when certain sections put after NNPCF or PCFs funded by local authorities or funded by the DFE, that's what they're inferring. That's what they're implying, yeah? And I'm still not seeing any hands up in the room. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not doing the right things for the right reasons, and keep doing it. And lastly, kind of topical, ooh, yeah, you're amazing. We think you're incredible. Who's that? Kate Bush, yeah. Wow. We do think you are incredible, okay? The people in this room are incredible. You are amazing. And 7 years I've been on the NNPCF steering group, and I'm constantly humbled by the dedication, the hard work, the commitment, the passion, the knowledge that you people bring to this, that parent care reforms bring to this, and it constantly grounds me. And I couldn't do what I do, the steering group couldn't do what they do, the NNPCF couldn't do, the Department of Education couldn't do what they do, NHS England couldn't do what they do, local authorities, schools, commissioners, nobody can do what they do without you. And you are just phenomenal. And I have learned so much from this group of people over the last 6-7 years. And what you have taught me will stay with me forever. I genuinely believe you're incredible, you're amazing, and you deserve the best, and your children deserve the best. So keep doing what you're doing, because nobody else has ever done it better. Thank you.
So thank you, Mrunal. We now know Mrunal's taste in music. Just want to say thank you to Mrunal for that presentation.